Fantasy football is about choices. Will it be James's expertise?
He's going to be the only guy on the field to get the ball. He's a 3-down workhorse to get the ball.
Or Chris's insights?
But even if they trade him, I still don't think they're going to become a run-first team.
The choice is in your hands. We give you the option.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Option. I hope everyone is having a great week so far. Today, I have a few things. If there's two things I'm going to talk about. One, if you haven't watched our last episode, you're missing out. You really should go watch it. But that's mainly because number two is that we're breaking down our mock draft that we did last week. We did a Dynasty 12-team mock draft last week. And you should definitely go check it out before watching this episode just to get a feel for what we did. But today we are going to be breaking it down. I'm going to be asking the guys a bunch of questions about the mock draft, seeing what they think, what we felt, how we felt we did on our draft, and, maybe what some outcomes are that we're going to predict for this mock draft. So, gentlemen, are you guys ready to just head in and break down this huge draft that we did last week?
Let's get at her.
Let's do it, man.
All right. My first question for you guys, let's go right off the bat. What do you guys think of our team? How did we do?
Chris, you want to lead this one or you want me to go?
No, go ahead.
All right. Aside from the fact that I think you chose a few more of Chris's picks than mine, I thought we did it really well, actually. It was I like the team. We got two really good quarterbacks between Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford. We got a good running back core in Barkley, Jones, and Eckler, all starters, bell cow guys that are going to lead their teams. The wide receivers are a little bit lower probably than the high-end wide receiver that everyone loves to see, but still starting wide receivers that are very capable of getting lots of fantasy points between Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Boyd. We're hoping on Elijah Moore. That one might have been our stretch run there that we'll see what happens. But if he does hit, that could be a jackpot hit. And then our tight end, Tyler Higbee, is great too. We got stacks. We got connections going. I like it. I think it's a contending team right off the bat, just looking at that.
Yeah, we're definitely a first-year contender. Dynasty-wise, we may be on a little bit of the older side with some of our wide receivers. But throughout the rookie drafts, if we do it right and trades, it's definitely something that we can counterbalance in the future. Personally, I don't think I would have went the quarterback too early. Looking at some of these other teams with, like, we still could have got Stafford we got Stafford at a good spot. With this in the second round, I probably would have went another running back or a stud wide receiver there over Joe Burrow. And we still would have got serviceable QBs later. The difference between the QBs between 5th spot and 15th spot, it's not that great. Whereas the difference between wide receivers or running backs between the 5th spot and 15th spot is much greater than it is between the quarterbacks. So I think that's the only pick where I was, I don't mind Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow coming into the season, but when I build my team, I probably would have went somewhere else there. But otherwise, it's a good team.
I like him there just because of the dynasty purposes. The fact that he's a young quarterback, his second year. You could literally hold him for 10 years and not have to worry as long as the offensive line keeps him up, right?
Yeah, but again, we could have got Wilson, Fields.
I just don't know what Wilson Fields are going to do yet. I'm a little. I don't know the value between a Wilson and a Burrow. I'm not sure. I think Burrow's obviously better still, and he's got the better pieces in place in Cincy than the other two. But
if you're making your argument a dynasty thing, there's other quarterbacks we could have picked to fit the dynasty reasoning, right?
But okay, if you look at the quarterbacks that went after, Russell Wilson, I would have taken him over Russell. What do you got? Aaron Rodgers, 38. Jalen Hurts, I don't really have faith in. Yeah. Trey Lance, Justin Fields.
Just might not start right away, right? So I don't know if I would have.
Yeah, that's the thing early. Too. If these guys aren't starting yet, you don't know. Okay. Anyways, yeah.
All right, and gentlemen, what about just a quick? Where do you kind of feel like our team would place out of the 12?
First,
Just
of
a
course.
guesstimate.
Obviously,
Oh,
first. I mean,
okay,
that's
right.
easy.
All right.
I mean,
Okay,
We
okay.
agree.
there's some good teams. There's some good teams on this board. Uh, team 3. I know if you're listening, you can't really see it, but Team 3, their first 4 picks were Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, and Travis Etienne. I mean, you're rolling with 4, at least 3 guys that are going to be poised to have good seasons this year, and Travis Etienne, who's going to be the pass catching back. And then they still ended up with Baker Mayfield and Matt Ryan.
And they
So
got James Robinson just in case Etienne is not there. Like
exactly
that
right.
was
I mean, a
good
little
too.
early to I wouldn't be doing that early. They are lacking in the wide receiver spot. They're starting Chris Godwin and Terrace Marshall through to 10 rounds. They're going to be slacking there because it is start 3 wide receivers, but off the jump, it's not a bad team. Even team 1, McCaffrey, Diggs, Gibson, Jacobs, Michael Thomas, and Claypool, they ended up with Cousins and Daniel Jones as QB, which they picked later in the draft. 2 serviceable QBs. When you got a lineup like that, you don't need those.
And don't forget Zach Moss there at their 10th pick, who, if
Exactly.
he's going to be the starter in Buffalo, that could be sneaky good in the 10th round.
Yeah,
Sneaky good.
Yep.
they got a good team as
Exactly.
well. I mean, Team 9 with the stack of Kamara and Henry, another good team right there with Hopkins in the 3rd. Such a value pick there. They got a nice pick there. You had Juju in the 7th, another good pick. Sutton in the 8th. So there's a lot of good teams. I think we would definitely be a contender just based off our running backs and wide receivers. I think
Yep.
across the board we got a pretty balanced and a pretty good solid team there.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know if we'll be one, but I mean, hey, we'll definitely contend like you guys are talking about. Gentlemen, what about what's one surprise pick that you guys saw from this draft? Something that really wowed you, like, wow, I couldn't believe they did this. Wow, that's a great pick. Something like that. What's one surprise pick from this draft that you see?
Looking at the board, James, is there one that jumps out at you right away?
I wouldn't say surprise like in a good way surprise. I would say surprise more in the fact that they went so late. I mean, Joe Mixon in the was that 4th round. I thought that was kind of late for him, seeing as all these running backs that are there. Some other ones went before him. I was like,
But
okay, that's
which one are you replacing? I mean, I think the only one I would replace would be Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the
I'd put him
guys that
ahead
went
of
before.
Hilaire. I might even put him ahead of J.K. Dobbins. I don't know if Dobbins is going to do better than him this year.
Yeah, it's you got to hope Dobbins gets involved in the passing game. If Dobbins gets the passing game work, then I don't think they'll finish too far apart from each other. But yeah, Joe Mixon in the I think our pick Austin Eckler in the 4th was was a great value pick
Yeah, for sure.
considering.
100%.
But surprising pick for me is probably I'm gonna go with Jamar Chase. I know it's a dynasty, but I was hoping we could have got him a bit later. He went in the 4th. I was hoping to get him around
Yeah.
in the 6th round where we could grab him, but and we just lost out on CD.
I'll throw you another one though.
Yeah.
What about David Montgomery in the 5th there? That's late for me too. I mean, they're saying lots of good things about Montgomery, about him getting over 20 touches this season, and he finished so well, winning championships for people last year. So
Yeah, I think I would prefer him over Jacobs this coming year, but I don't think it's a bad spot for picking Montgomery. And when you really break down what he did last year, a lot of his production came against bad defenses, right? At the beginning of the year, he wasn't that great. At the end of
I
the
would
year,
I would just assume to see his name earlier is what I'm saying. For him to go that late, I thought was a little bit later for where he would normally go. But
I don't mind him in the 5th. I don't think it's that bad of a.
There's also the Tariq Cohen coming back factor there. right? Potentially Tariq Cohen
Yeah,
taking his
Cohen
role back
and
as
Damian
the
Williams being reunited with Nagy.
yeah.
So
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, it could be interesting there. All right. What about, I know you kind of got into it a little bit, but like, what are some of the picks you think were too high, or maybe even some picks that you thought were way too low for these guys? Like, some why is this guy getting drafted so late kind of picks? What about those? You guys have any of those from our draft?
too high, I think I'd go Trey Lance with the super flex aspect and the fact that he might not start. I mean, if he starts, it's a great pick with Kyler Murray. But if he doesn't start, I think it's a bit of a reach with him there, because now if you look at the board, the quarterback that he's going to get if he doesn't start isn't really going to be that serviceable, right? So that one for me was a bit of a reach early, and then a guy that dropped that I think should have went earlier. Looking at the board, I'm probably going to go Deontay Johnson, man. The guy's a target machine. Last year he was in a pass-friendly offense. If you're looking at the guys that were picked before him, Devonta Smith, I think I'd rather have him over Devonta Smith. I'd rather have him over Jerry Jeudy, just based on target volume alone. So picking him in the 7th, I mean, I got no problem reaching for Deontay Johnson in the 5th, 6th, but that's just personal preference at that point.
All right. James, what about you?
Well, I mean, I said the guys that I thought that were a little bit later. I'm trying to look to see if there's anyone a little bit earlier than what they should have. Etienne, to me, maybe a little too early in where he was, just because, again, like Chris has said and like others have said, if he's the pass catching back, I mean, they got James Robinson afterwards, but I mean, if he's the pass catching back, not the starter right out the gate, I mean, that's a little early for me if that's where he's going to go, especially when you got guys that went after him, like, you got Miles Sanders, you got Austin Eckler that went after, Joe Mixon went after, Jamal Williams, Dave Montgomery, Chris Carson. Like, those are other names that are like, at least guys are going to get more carries. So I think he was a little high on my seeing that. I'm just trying to think of anyone else that's here.
I think Rashad Bateman too was early.
Yeah, for where that wide receiver went.
Yeah, because Boyd went after Thielen, Debo Samuel went after, Michael Pittman went after, all guys that are going to get a high volume of passes. And looking at the team, Metcalf, Lamb, Shenault, and then Bateman, I think Metcalf, Lamb, Shenault, and a Tyler Boyd or a Michael Pittman or even a Debo Samuel would have made that team much better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Again, this is you taking in, I guess, the dynasty value. So these rookies become something that you're like, oh, I need to get a rookie because these guys are going to be there for a long time. I don't know if the rookie in Baltimore is the right answer for a rookie,
especially rookie wide receiver.
But yeah,
I agree. I think that one was a very a stretch almost. Do you guys see any almost forgotten players? Maybe someone that you have on the top of your head that you're like, yeah, this guy's going to have a good year this season, but you don't see him drafted at all anymore, maybe?
It's a good question. I mean, Big Ben Roethlisberger isn't on this board. And he's on the TB12 diet or the Subway diet or something like that. But
I don't think it's going to make a difference.
He's supposed to have a big year. He was a top 15 quarterback last season. I mean, if you're a win-now team in a dynasty, if he's got a year or 2 years left, he's not a bad option.
Are those only home games though, Chris, or are those away games too?
Yeah, well, hopefully just start him for the home games. But he's not bad. I mean, I think this season I'd rather have Ben Roethlisberger over Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. For this year,
I'm not a Hurts guy.
I don't like Philly. You obviously know that because I'm a Cowboy fan, but I also don't know. I mean, I've seen flashes, and I've seen a lot of people talk so highly of him. They're like, "Oh, he's a top 10 guy," and then, but I'm like, that organization. I mean, the best is when I talk to our producer Phil, and he's just like, "That is the worst organization in football. They are a mess." And he wants nothing of them. And I agree. Like, it's scary. Like, even the running back situation scares me. I have Miles Sanders in a few leagues, and I don't know what to do with them.
Trade him to me.
Sure, okay.
Gladly take Miles.
So I don't know. It's but yeah, I agree. I don't know about I can't trust Hurts. I mean, they almost traded for another quarterback and they think and Hurts is there. So if they don't have faith in him, right? And they traded for a guy who may not play again if he goes to jail. Could you imagine? They're
Yeah.
trying to trade for that. So imagine that that's and you're the quarterback sitting back like, okay.
I mean, a lot of guys have tried to trade for that guy. A lot of teams.
But those teams usually don't have another good quarterback or claim they have another good quarterback already there, right?
No, I suppose
Yeah.
not. No,
So that tells you something.
it's true. It's definitely interesting to see how a coach, he's your guy. He started almost last year to that back end at least, and you're still saying, yeah, we don't know if we're fully confident in this guy yet. So it's tough to pick a fantasy player like that, knowing that stuff. What about your steal of the draft? The one player you saw that was just an absolute steal, and best value you've seen.
I like Myles Gaskin in round 7 to team 6. We've talked about
That's a
him.
good pick.
I think that guy, the fact that Miami didn't bring anyone in to challenge him, they didn't draft anyone else, and the numbers he was putting up down the stretch, that could be a league winner playing right there, and scary good. And round 7 to get something like that is really good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the ones I was looking at. Even Michael Thomas in the 5th.
Yeah.
Considering some of the wide receivers that went before him. He's still, again, going to be one of those guys that's just going to soak up targets in a half-point PPR. He's the wide receiver 1 in New Orleans. I think the quarterback mystery is kind of holding some owners back. But Michael Thomas in the 5th, Irv Smith in the 9th, I think was a good pick, and even TJ Hawkinson in the what is that, the 6th. TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, actually, Hawkinson the 6 is really good too.
Yeah,
Especially some people have him top 4. So
yeah, and he went off as the fifth tight end. So that's a good value pick right there. I like that. Boyd in the 8th was a good one for us value wise. When Drew Brewer was healthy, he was a top 15 wide receiver. So, given the stack and given the fact that guys like Rashad Bateman, DJ Shark were picked before him, even Laviska Shenault, Jalen Waddle was picked before him. So give me Boyd over those guys.
Chris, what do you think of Julio Jones taking in, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in the 7.5? What do you guys think of that? Is that high, low?
I think if you're going win now, it's not a bad spot. Looking at that team, Kyler Murray, Devontae Adams, Ezekiel Elliott, Trey Lance, Allen Robinson, Kareem Hunt, Julio Jones. It's not a bad pick. He's still being projected to be a top 20 wide receiver. Some spots even top 15. So to get a top 15 wide receiver that late, it's not a bad pick. I'd take Julio Jones in that spot.
Yeah. I agree with the Julio Jones one, though. I think that going that late, but on a team like the Titans, who are going to be a really run-heavy team like always, I think the value-wise him, you kind of don't know where to take him and how high because you don't really know if he will get those chances that he was seeing in Atlanta. So it's tough. A lot of people are saying he's going to have a good year, but at the same time, you still have to fear the fact that they run the ball so much to Derrick Henry that he may not be in that top range anymore like we've seen.
Yeah, and the fact that Atlanta always plays from behind is the reason why a lot of his production is good, right? And then they got Beckham in the 9th. I mean, a lot of people are sleeping on OBJ. A lot of the fantasy football community is low on OBJ, but his numbers are still high. He's still one of the top wide receivers in the league. I don't know. He's an athletic freak. Yes, he's coming off a knee injury, but to get him in the 9th around guys like Michael Pittman and Robbie Anderson, and even we took Elijah Moore there, that's could turn out to be a great value pick, especially if the Cleveland Browns decide to throw it a bit more.
But do you think the connection between Baker and OBJ can get better.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we've
I
seen him
do.
there in
Yeah.
Cleveland, and he just hasn't had the same OBJ feeling that he used to have in New York.
Yeah, I think he can get it done, man. He's one of those guys that I believe is quarterback proof. I think the coaching staff needs to put Baker Mayfield in a better position to succeed, and they're going to be doing that now, trusting him more to throw the ball. This is his first time where he's going to have a he's not going to have to learn a new offense, so I think that's going to be a plus for him. His 4 years in the league, so he's going to be the second year with Stefanski, second year of he's going to have full TAs, a full off season with it and everything. So I don't mind it. Give me OBJ. If you guys have him, want to get rid of him, send him my way.
I mean, me and James have had the argument a long time that, OBJ is old and with this injury, he's not going to be the same. But I've seen some videos of the guy working out, and you're right. He's a freak. And honestly, he almost looks more electric now than before. So it's crazy what he's doing in this offseason to get ready. So I can definitely see him making that push.
Yeah, I'm hyped for him.
Yeah.
I got a few questions for you. I'm just looking at the board and looking at the running backs and the orders that they went in, and I saw that we got Eckler and Aaron Jones so late, and these are guys that could potentially be top tier. But then you got guys like Zeke Elliott. Like, would you guys have taken Zeke earlier than what he went based on like if you had the opportunity? Because I mean, we had McCaffrey, Cook, Barkley, Kamara, Jonathan Taylor. First of all, is Jonathan Taylor top 5 before a lot of these other guys? Do you guys believe that as well? Are you guys thinking?
Dynasty wise, it's not a bad pick for Jonathan Taylor. He's young. My only issue with JT is the amount of snaps he saw in college. It was bananas the amount that Wisconsin leaned on him to run that offense. I think it was something around like 800 touches in his time in Wisconsin. And when you compare that to a guy like CEH in college, I think he only had like 300 touches. Like the comparable was crazy. So
yeah.
That's my only issue with Jonathan Taylor, but taking him in the first, I mean, all the research I've done on mocks and drafts in general, that's pretty much right where he's going. Same with Zeke. He is in the back end of his career as a running back per se. So given the dynasty aspect of it, I don't hate it there. He got picked as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He got picked as the 13th. Did I count that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
13,
right?
yeah. 13.
13.
Yeah.
He got picked as the
13,
13th running back off the board. I think he smashes that this year.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I think he's going to go top 5, top 7 spot. But dynasty wise, I mean, I don't hate it.
I'm just looking like, would you have taken Derrick Henry over Jonathan Taylor?
I
would have.
That's a tough one because like I said, because of the dynasty aspect, like you have to weigh that all in.
I get it.
If I'm gonna build a win now team, then yeah, I'd probably go Derrick Henry. If I'm doing a redraft, I'm probably picking Derrick Henry just based on volume and no competition.
When you're going into this draft right off the bat, are you not trying to win now? Is that not your focus to begin with?
You are, but you also want to win next year too, right? I don't want to win 1 year and then be stuck in purgatory trying to rebuild all the time. Like, I want to build in all terms of the league name. I want to build a dynasty. So I would rather try to lock up that younger RB who has the potential to be the next Derrick Henry and build out from there.
So what about DeAndre Swift? Would you have taken Zeke over DeAndre Swift?
Yes, I think I would have taken Zeke over DeAndre Swift just because of the new coaching staff. You got Jamal Williams there. You got the fact that we don't quite know how they're going to use DeAndre Swift this year. So I think I would have taken Zeke over DeAndre Swift. What would have you done?
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
I would have taken Zeke over a lot of these guys. I mean, even J.K. Dobbins, I would have took Zeke over. Najee Harris is one that I not 100%. I don't know where that would be because he's suited to be so good this year. I just don't know if I trust Pittsburgh's O line. But I mean, for long term value, yeah, he's obviously the younger. He should be better than Zeke Younger. But I mean, for the next 4 or 5 years, if I'm looking in that range to win these championships now at the beginning, I think I'd take Zeke there too.
You got Zeke for another 4 to 5 years, though. You think he's going to put up the production for another 4 to 5 years?
He just trimmed down a bunch of weight. He looks more chiseled than he
knew that
was
coming.
before. And I mean, he's looking good. And yeah, I mean, he's only what, 25? I think 25. So I think he could play another 4 years and have, I mean, top 10, top 12 value for the next 4 years.
I'd rather have Najee over.
That's
Elliott
the one that I was a little
4
questioning.
to
Yeah, I
5
get that
years.
one. That's fine.
Like
I
4
get
to 5
that.
years, we're talking. I'd rather have Gibson. I think I'd rather have Dobbins for the next 4 to 5 years over Zeke.
I don't know about Dobbins. That team there, they like to change it up a little bit. I mean, and Lamar runs too, and then you got Gus Edwards is no slouch. So
But neither is Tony Pollard.
Yeah, but they don't give the ball to Pollard enough. I mean,
No.
unless they change their scheme a little bit and they start doing that, Zeke is still the guy. They pay him to be the guy. He's going to get the rock,
No doubt.
Right? So I think Pollard ends up saying, I got to move out because I want to get a better job, and someone's going to take him off the Dallas Cowboy hands. That's what I'm worried about. But I think that happens first.
I think a lot of people are just putting Zeke in such a low category because of what happened last year. But, I mean, come on. You got to look at the whole Cowboys team there and just how unfortunate the whole thing happened. Once they lost Dak and they had to go through all these different quarterbacks in general, yeah, that whole game gets blown away because now okay, they can't throw the ball. All I got to do is stack the box, and I'm going to stop Zeke. And, yeah, like, what's he really going to do, right? I definitely think Zeke can get back to being he already was close enough to the top 10, but he can be a top 6, I think, for sure again. And I think with Dak coming back, with, improving their O-line a bit and not having the injuries that they had, I think all those people sleeping on Dak are going to be sorry that they're taking him so late and that they're not hitting on him, right?
So what about this? Justin Jefferson went as wide receiver 1. CeeDee Lamb went in the 4th round. The difference between those two guys, I have it a lot closer than it looks like on this draft board. What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely. I think Justin Jefferson had a great year last year, but, him going wide receiver 1, I guess it's the dynasty factor. You want that young player. But, I mean, how do you not take a guy that's been consistent for years like Devontae Adams? I know there's the Aaron Rodgers problem, or Tyreek Hill, or
Diggs?
DK Metcalf, Diggs, any of those guys that have been more consistent and everything after I get it, Justin Jefferson was solid that one year, but I agree. I think he should be more closer to CeeDee Lamb than anything else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'd like to see what CeeDee does this coming season. He's due for an uptick in targets and catches and just fantasy output in general, but you can't deny what Justin Jefferson did last season, right? 1,400 yards, all those touchdowns. I mean, unlimited targets and with Kirk Cousins as his QB. So on a pass-heavy team with Kirk Cousins as his QB. So the only thing for me is the defense of the Vikings getting better. Is that going to hold Jefferson back? Whereas, sorry boys, the Dallas Cowboys defense isn't that great. So there's going to be more opportunity for Lamb to get that production, right? So at a fantasy viewpoint, Lamb might end up being the better wide receiver on the year just because he's going to have more opportunity to score ultimately. You know what I mean? He's going to have more opportunity in that garbage time. And garbage time is valuable in fantasy football because it can make or break your week. It can make or break your season. I mean, I lost a championship on a garbage time TD by Lamar to Marquise Godwin, or I think it was the Aguilar one where he went off last year in the championship. It was just a garbage time TD. He went off for 60 yards and a touchdown and ultimately cost me my my ring.
Yeah.
But Jefferson as wide receiver 1, I don't hate it. I think
Yeah, but
Even
like you
Calvin
said though, with
Ridley.
Kirk Cousins, maybe this is his last year with Minnie. I mean, we don't know who the next guy would be. That could hurt his value too if it's not a very good quarterback after this.
Kellen Mond. Kellen
That's who
Mond's
they have there. Yeah,
yeah.
if he works out, we're gonna have to see. But I mean, we still don't know what he is or what he's
From the
gonna be,
school
right?
of
So
Dak Prescott. Is there a player that you were like you sucks that we missed out on? Like, is there a player that you wish we had on this team?
Well, all the ones that I picked your guy instead of his.
if I had to choose a guy that I mean, I would have loved. We just missed out on CD. I mean, I probably would have taken CD over Eckler there. I mean, who else did we just Gaskin? I would have taken over Cup if he was still there. I mean, we could have probably taken Gaskin over Stafford if we went that route too. But yeah, it's funny when you start looking back at it and seeing who's after the picks you make, and you see who was really there deeper down that someone else found. And you're just like, why? What was I thinking, or what was I looking at when that happened? So, but no, I mean, I like our team. I think our team's good. I think we would be a contender, like you said. I mean, you and I are very trade happy, so I'm sure this team would not be the exact same team that it is now in 10 weeks from now. So,
This is true.
but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
10
pieces that we
weeks.
can work with too, in some trades that I could already see in my head. So, yeah, no, I think we did well. I think we did good for our first mock, and I know that there will be more to come. So,
There's no way this team is staying intact for 10 weeks. By week 2, it's going to be gone. What do you mean? Between both of you who are just the trade gurus in the whole thing, like, you think this team's staying intact for 10 weeks?
I mean, it's not a
No
bad team.
chance. It's not bad, but you guys love to trade. You can trade even if you have the good players. You're like, oh, okay, I'm going to trade. So you just do it for fun.
Yeah, that's true. I think
It's true.
if there's one player I wish we had, and we
Yep.
didn't go Burrow in 2, and we went either a running back there, and then on the turn we went wide receiver. If there's one guy I wish we had, it was probably Calvin Ridley. I think he's due, like, in a lot of places he's wide receiver 1, right? So I think he's due for a big role. His numbers prove that without Julio. When Julio's out of the lineup, his numbers prove that. So I think he's the one guy I wish we had on this team.
What about, what about Keenan Allen, who I think would have had a good season? I think with Justin Herbert, he's found a connection clearly, like we saw last season. And I definitely think that would have been a nice pickup too. I've been trying to get him in drafts, and he goes right before I can every time, and I hate it. But
Yeah, another target hog, right?
Yeah,
Another guy,
definitely.
good route runner, he's always open pretty much. One of the best route runners in the league. Another guy, like, would you rather have Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper?
Honestly,
because it's Dynasty, I think I would have stuck with the Cooper. But I mean, Keenan is probably going to finish a lot higher than him.
Is there a big age gap?
I don't think it's that big, honestly.
What's Cooper now? 27?
Yeah, 27 or 28. Yeah.
Keenan's got to be 29, isn't he?
Keenan Allen, 29, yeah.
So it's about a year or two.
Amari Cooper, 27.
I think.
So it's 2 years you're looking at. I think the big factor that scares me a little bit with Cooper is just I don't know if he's going to stay with Dallas for the next 4 years or 3 years. That's a big. Yeah, that too. I mean, I've got CD taking over as wide receiver 1 before end of season on this team anyway. So, but
yeah,
we're gonna have to see. But yeah, I think this was a good mock, boys. I think we did really well.
I agree. I mean, I would be excited to see where this team actually went and how we finished. See if you guys were right predicting 1. I mean,
you picked the team, Nick. So if it crumbles, it's all on you.
Yeah, it's all you, buddy.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks. Oh, okay, yeah, great. Yeah, it's fine. I got limited to 2 players on each pick, man. Come on. Anyways, guys, that is our show for the day. I hope you enjoyed us breaking down our mock draft from last episode. Like I said at the beginning, if you didn't see that episode, go check it out. We did a 12-team Dynasty format mock draft. And today we broke it down, asking a bunch of questions and just discussing what we thought about it. Be sure to check out our other episodes wherever you stream your podcast and as well as on YouTube. And don't forget to follow us on our social medias for even more content to help you win your fantasy football seasons. You can find us on Instagram at The Option Podcast, on Twitter at The Option Pod, and on TikTok at The Option Fantasy Football. Have a good night, everybody. We will see you next time. Ciao. Do you agree with us? Disagree with us? Let us know with a comment below or even reach out to us and DM us.